How do you multiply whole numbers by a decimal? Think about this question during the lesson. The price of admission to a minor league baseball game increased by 17/100ths times the amount of last year's admission. If last year's admission was $26, how much is the increase? Let's find out. What operation will you use to find the increase in the ticket price? To find the increase in the ticket price, you will multiply. What was the price of last year's ticket? Last year's ticket price was $26. How much is the new ticket price going to increase? The price of the new ticket will increase by 17/100ths times last year's price. How do you know you need to multiply? The problem states that admission increased by 17/100ths times last year's admission. The word times tells you to multiply. Why is the zero included in 17/100ths? The zero stands for ones. It helps show the decimal place. Now solve the problem. Multiply as you would with whole numbers. Multiply by the ones digits first. What is the ones product? The ones product is 102. Next, multiply by the tens digits. The tens product is 340. What is the final product? You know that 17 times 6 is 102. Why is 17 times 2 equal to 340? You are really multiplying by 20, not 2, so it is 17 times 20, or 340. The final product is 442. The final product will not remain a whole number because you must place a decimal point correctly in the number in order to obtain the right answer. How do you know where to place the decimal point? Count the decimal places in both factors. Then place the decimal into the product the same number of places starting from the right and moving left. How many places are there to the right of the decimal point in each factor and in both of the factors together? One factor contains 2 decimal places, and the other factor contains none. Together, there is a total of 2 decimal places. So where will the decimal point go in the product? The decimal point will be placed 2 places left into the product. The increase from last year's ticket admission is $4.42. How can you find the new admission price, and what will it be? You can find the new admission price by finding the sum of the amount of increase in admission and last year's admission price. The new admission is $30.42. Now you know how to multiply whole numbers by a decimal.
Hello all. Welcome to the next installment of our instructional videos. As always, I will be your host, Miss Mullins. Today we're going to focus on Unit 6, Lesson 2, which is multiplying a decimal by a whole number. Now, I know I can't see you because you're watching this through the computer, but raise your hand if you're kind of like, oh man, decimals, dude, they're hard. I can't do that. I don't know how to do decimals. I'm getting sweaty. I'm freaking out. Okay, multiplying decimals is actually super simple. If you can throw it back a couple units to when we worked on multiplying 2-digit numbers or multiplying larger numbers, you can multiply decimals because there's really no difference other than you have a little tiny dot somewhere. So here's what we're going to do. Let's take a look at the problem on the screen, 1.5 times 24. Okay, there's a decimal, so at first maybe I get a little nervous, but really this is not a difficult problem. Here's what we're going to do. Whenever you multiply by a decimal, all you're going to do is ignore the decimal point. I'm going to cross it out. And what you're going to do is you're going to multiply as if this was regular old whole numbers. So just like that was 15 times 24, you're going to multiply that, and then at the end we'll put the decimal back. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that decimal for right now, pretend it's not there, and then we're going to put it back at the end. So let's first go ahead and multiply as if this was 15 times 24. That's super easy. I start with the 4, I multiply the 1s and then the 10s, so I do 4 times 5 is 20. Put down the 0, carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So my first number is 60. Now I'm going to move over here and work with the 2. That 2 really stands for 20, so I'm going to put a 0 down. And now I can start multiplying as if it was just a plain old little 2. I'm going to multiply the 2 by the 1s, which is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Put down the 0, carry my 1. And then 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. And now to finish it off, I'm just going to add those together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 0, 6. Bring down my 3. So now I have 15 times 24 is 360. Okay, that wasn't really hard. So now what we need to do is put the decimal back. Now this is actually pretty easy. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at how many places over my decimal was located. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like I'm at a movie theater or at a baseball game, and I'm going to walk down the aisle. So this is kind of like a little aisle. Here I am walking down. And I'm going to stop and I'm going to say, how many seats over is my decimal? Well, I see my decimal is 1 seat over, just 1 seat. So what I'm going to do is come down here to the end of my number, and I'm going to move 1 decimal place over, just 1 place over. That's it. And put my decimal point. That's how easy it is to multiply by decimals. So if I check 1.5 times 24, that ends up giving me 36. Super easy. All you do is get rid of the decimal, multiply like if you were working with regular whole numbers, then you count the number of spaces over your decimal is located and move that number of spaces over in your answer. So for this problem, 1.5, if I put my decimal back, 1.5 times 24 is 36.0, or just regular old 36. Super easy, right? Wasn't hard at all. Let's try another one. What if I do 0.21 times 35? 0.21 times 35. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to ignore that decimal point. I'm going to pretend it's not there. I'm going to ignore that decimal point, pretend it's not there, and I'm going to multiply 21 times 35. So let's multiply 21 times 35. Well, start with the 5, multiply by the 1s. 5 times 1 is 5. Then 5 times 2 is 10. I don't have anything to carry, so I'm good. So now I'm going to move over to the 3. That 3 is really 3 tens, or 30, so I have to put my 0 down. Now I multiply by the 1s. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. I don't even need to multiply by the 0 because we know anything times 0 equals 0, so I can kind of just even ignore that. And then add them together, and I get 5, 3, 7. So 735. Now I need to put my decimal back. So I'm going to walk down the aisle, and I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to say how many places over, how many seats over is my decimal sitting? Well, my decimal is sitting 1, 2 seats over. So I need to start at the bottom of my answer and go 1, 2 seats to the left. So I'm just going to walk over to the left the same number of seats that my decimal is located. My decimal was located 2 seats to the left. When I put my decimal back in my answer, I have to go 2 seats to the left, and I get 0.21, so 21 hundredths times 35 equals 7.35. Super easy. All you're going to do is get rid of the decimal, pretend it's not there, multiply like they were regular old numbers, and then put the decimal the same number of places to the left as it was located in your original number. Let's try one more. I told you this wasn't going to be hard, see? All right, let's do 0.38 times 46. All right, so I'm going to do 38 hundredths times 46. All right, what I want you guys to do, I want you to pause the recording, write down the problem, solve it on paper, and once you think you know what the answer is, go ahead and hit play and see if you guys got it right. I know you can do it. All you need to do is remember to ignore the decimal point, find the answer if this was just a regular old whole number, and then put the decimal back the same number of places that it's located right now. All right, go ahead and hit pause and see if you can do it on your own. All right, so you think you have the answer. Let's check it out. So I'm going to pretend that decimal isn't there, and I'm going to pretend that I am doing 38 times 46. I'm going to ignore the decimal. It's not there. 38 times 46. All right, I'm going to start by multiplying by 6. 6 times 8 is 48. Put down the 8, carry the 4 and circle it. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. All right, so my first product is 22. I'm going to move over and work with the 4. That 4 stands for 4 tens, which is 4D. So I'm going to put down the 0. Now I can just multiply regular old 4. Start by multiplying the 1s. 4 times 8 is 32. Put down the 2, carry my 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Now I'm going to add my pieces together. Let's see, I have 8. This gives me 4. This gives me 7. Bring down my 1. So I have 1,748. Now, to finish it off, to put the whipped cream on the hot fudge sundae, I need to put my decimal back. So if I start over here, I see my decimals right here. That's 2 seats over. So all I'm going to do is come down to the end of my problem, or end of my answer, excuse me, and go 2 seats over, and I get 17 and 48 hundredths. 17 and 48 hundredths. It's that easy. I know you guys got the right answer. Like I said, this is super easy. All you need to remember is to ignore the decimal point, multiply like it was a regular old whole number, and then put your decimal point back at the end, and you will have your final answer. Multiplying decimals by a whole number is super simple. Go ahead and try your follow-up problems, and I'll see you in our lesson to do some practice together as a class. Great job, everybody!